I had my first baby when I was 19, Rebecca. And I suppose that was very, very young back then. But she gave me the sort of drive and enthusiasm to work harder, because I then, had a small mortgage, a tiny mortgage, I think £38,000. And I thought, this is huge. How am I going to pay this? And I wanted to give her the things that I didn't have when I grew up. And after she was born, I got a job in Labatt's, the beer company. As just an admin girl. And I was so bad at that as well, because I couldn't type to save myself. But I set myself a goal that I wanted to get up to the top of Labatt's within 4 years. And I actually did it within 3 years. I was sort of heading up Scotland's sales and marketing. And I absolutely loved it. So I had a plan, and I worked exactly to that plan. And I still have a plan every single day of what I want to do in life, both personally and both in business.
So this was you going out one night, very uncomfortable with the girls, and you said there's got to be something more comfortable that we could wear. And you came up with the idea of developing or creating something that you had no experience with.
That's right. I went to a dinner dance and I was wearing a very uncomfortable cleavage bra, and I thought, why should women go through all this pain for a tiny bit of gain? And I took the bra off in the toilets. It was that uncomfortable. And I went back to the table with all of my friends and I said, I'm going to invent a bra, start a business on Monday. And they said, well, what do you know about bras? You haven't been to college, you haven't been to university. And I says, well, I've got a pair of boobs and I'll work it out. That's what I did. For 3.5 years of my life, I invented Ultimo, the first world gel-fill bra. And I went to the Prince's Trust and they gave me some help, and they gave me a mentor as well. And, thousands of prototypes later, from playing around with the bra, and I wanted to, with the first gel fill bra, I wanted to create basically a boob job bra. And 3.5 years later, I got all my friends and family into my bedroom, and I asked my Auntie Joan to try it on first, and she says, well, why me? I said, well, if I can give you a cleavage, it will be a miracle. So she went in and she came out of the bathroom and she had a massive cleavage. And that's when I went down to Selfridges, the department store.
So you developed your bra.
Yeah.
You have no way, you don't know how you're going to sell it, but you thought, I'm going to go to Selfridges and sell it there. I love the story. You just popped in there and decided to share your idea and your dream.
Yeah, I've always been told by my mum and dad, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter what education you managed to get, it doesn't matter the colour of your skin, your religion. If you have that dream, passion, determination, can-do attitude, you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. And they've always taught me to think big. So I thought, well, I could go to small boutiques and I could sell my range through there, but minimum order quantities is going to be a massive issue for me. So I just turned up to the buying office in Selfridges, the biggest, most prestigious department store in the UK, and I didn't have an appointment. I just had a bag of bras, and I said, I'm here to see the buyer. And she says, do you have an appointment? And I said, no. And she says, well, you won't get to see her. And I said, well, you don't understand. This is 3.5 years of my life in this bag. I'm heavily pregnant with my third baby. I'm £480,000 in debt. And this is the best cleavage bra ever. I need to see the buyer now. Anyway, half an hour later, after trying to persuade her, and I think she felt sorry for me, the buyer came down and tried the bra on, and boom, I got into Selfridges. So I suppose when I'm mentoring people in business, I say to them, you've got to approach people, you've got to get yourself out there. Don't sit on your backside and wait for them to come to you, because it ain't going to happen.
I guess the first thing to say is don't even think about it unless you've got a passion for it. Because you need that passion oozing out of the pores of your skin, If you're going to convince people, whether they're people to invest in your business, whether they're customers or whatever, that passion's got to be infectious. If it's not there, don't even bother, almost. But saying you've got that passion, what needs to go with that is the real focus. And I guess for me, an awful lot of us see that end objective perhaps as being the goal, but I see it as lots of end games, and you've got to go a step at a time and have an end game. You've got to say, that's the goal I'm going, that's where I want to be in 3 years' time, but then you've just to work out the steps along the way and be disciplined about that, really going for it. You need good advice. You need good advice around you. It's very easy to get hold of someone, if you like me, someone of our sort of background, who can just give you a bit of advice and just avoid you going into the elephant traps, you know. So focus is important. A bit of advice is important. That's objective, wholly objective, unsentimental advice. And you probably won't get that from your family. And the other thing is this can-do attitude. You've got to be tenacious. Never, ever take no for an answer. I mean, never. And I really mean that. Never take no for an answer. Just keep going at it. You've only got to read some of the books of people like Richard Branson or whatever and how they got where they've got. And I guess tenacity was one of the big assets they all had. Don't allow yourself to get knocked back. Yeah, it's hell. Being rejected is hell, whether you're being rejected by a financier or a client or whatever. But you've got to handle those knocks and get through it, and you've got to really be tenacious about it. And I think the other thing, I'd say is you've got to have a smile as well. Don't make it too difficult. I was really intrigued. I picked up a bit of research recently, which was done in the business world, why people follow other people. And it was something like 90% or 95% said, I follow people because of a feeling of fun, energy and excitement. That's what people want. And that's what you as a leader need to exhibit, fun, energy and excitement. And an awful lot of that comes from really loving what you're doing, and going for it. And then getting those people around you who complement your skills. I think that's the other trick. They don't necessarily have to work for you, but people around you. Recognise the areas you're weaker in. And I don't mean necessarily just the technical skills, but it may be the people skills as well. It may be the emotional intelligence side. Make sure you've got people around you that complement whatever it is you're doing, and then go for it.
Why is Virgin such a loved or admired brand in many ways? What's your take on that?
It's been about building a business for consumers and addressing consumers' needs, whatever the segment's been. I think Richard has liked the whole taking on David and Goliath. So it was taking on BA and actually making BA a better airline. It was about taking on the big telecom companies, the mobile companies, and creating a funky mobile brand. He, with his management teams and with people he's put in businesses, maybe like me, has been able to, and it's quite ephemeral, I don't know, it's very hard to pin down. You get asked this question all the time, but we seem to be able to attract and motivate and keep people really loyal to the companies they work for. And I mean, travel is a tough business and a tough segment. You don't earn fortunes in travel, and yet we have got and had amazing staff at Virgin Atlantic over the years. And sometimes we had to put the brakes on a bit, like after 9/11, and people would leave. And we had at least 2 redundancy programs during my time there, and that's never easy to deal with. You have to do it quickly and humanely and not damage the company. And then people would go away and they get other experience and they come back and they go, when we were here, we didn't realise that actually this is a really great place to work. So it's fascinating how you bottle that up and what it really is. And maybe that's one of the things for me to think about a bit more now. I've got more time, but you're always on a charge. But it's certainly been there, and we've kept it all the time. We're very conscious of the staff. We always had many, many more ideas than we could ever practically implement or practically justify. But I liked always challenging and trying to come up with the new ideas and doing things differently. And I think that's what consumers like. And that's one reason why Apple's been so successful, hasn't it? That it's always surprised and delighted people. And I have views about research, for example, that when people say, well, you've got to go off and research what consumers want. I don't think you do, because I don't think consumers know what they don't know. And if I asked you 10 years ago whether you'd have wanted half the things on your iPhone today, you'd have said, oh, no, I don't need that, I just need a phone. So I think companies have to be visionary and they have to push ideas. Yes, go and validate them through research. Go and see, actually, is it going to work? Do consumers want it? But I could tell you so many stories about things that we put into research that consumers said, oh, no, we don't want that. And then we did it anyway. And then they went, wow, we love this.
I mean, this first ever a boss of mine, Arthur Shillito, was someone I kept in contact with, and he was a bit of a mentor to me, I have to say, and he was really, really valuable. But
what did he teach you? If I can ask you, what did you learn from him?
You know, just for example, give you a great example, Bernardo. Something that he did that I've sort of tried to emulate ever since. If ever you were in a meeting with Arthur with a third party, and it might be a customer, it might be a supplier or an inspector, within an hour afterwards, on your desk would arrive a handwritten note, and it would say, "Dear Roger, thank you so much for your contribution to the meeting. I really appreciate it, Arthur." And you know, as a young lad, your chest would go out, your shoulders would go back. There was nothing I wouldn't do for Arthur Shillito. And it was a big lesson to me, you know, nothing to do with money, nothing else, just a bit of praise and a bit of recognition. And you know, for all of us, I think that's incredibly valuable. I don't think today any of us praise each other enough. And it's not just the people who work for you. You know, there's nothing wrong with praising your boss if he's done a good job, because it's pretty lonely the higher you get. There's nothing wrong with praising your peers and saying, "Well done, that was a great idea you had." But I don't think any of us do enough. And it was something Arthur really taught me there. And I guess the other word was that he cared, or you felt like he cared. He cared about you and what you were doing. I mean, equally, he'd give you the hand smacks you needed occasionally and all that. But he, for me, was just a role model that I've always kept there ever since, I think.
Michelle, many years from now, what would you like your legacy to be?
I would just love to inspire as many people as possible, especially from deprived areas, for them to look up to me and say, well, if she's managed to do it, to build these successful brands and, you know, get an OBE and in the House of Lords and everything else, and she's from an area where we live in, then we can do it too. There ain't no secret. You know, if you just work hard, I always say the harder you work, the luckier you become. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you so much for watching Inspiring People. Thank you.